In this video, I'm gonna show you how to color correct your footage like a pro. Stick around. Tyler here from Video Editing with Tyler White, and if you want to learn how to edit video like a pro, starting off with subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss anything. Before we get started, we first need to understand the difference between color correction and color grading. Color correction is just like it sounds. It's correcting the colors in your video in order for them to match what you would naturally see with your human eye. Color grading is used in addition to color correction that's used to set the tone or set the mood for that video. So I'm first going to go up here to the color tab and understand the reason that you have to color correct your videos is because filmmakers will shoot their videos in a flatter picture profile in order to preserve more detail in their shots. This helps things like preventing the sky from being blown out in your shots. Once you have the color tab opened up, click on Lumetri Scopes here, and then what I want you to do is right click and make sure that Vector Scope YUV is checked. That's this circle right here. And then right click again and make sure that Waveform RGB is selected as well. These two tools here are the main two tools I use in order to get my colors to look exactly the way that I want them to. You're not always going to be able to rely on your eyes because sometimes your computer monitors can be deceiving. So by looking at these tools here, they're going to tell me exactly where my colors are and exactly how they look. The waveform goes from 0 to 100, with 0 being my blacks or the darkest color, and then 100 being the whites or the brightest color. I'll use this tool here to ensure that my video is properly exposed as well as my colors are evenly distributed throughout the frame. So if I go over here to exposure, I can see whenever my whites are clipping because they're crushed all the way up here to the top. I want to make sure that this doesn't ever happen. So what I like to do is simply just bring my whites up and so that they're just touching that 100 line, just like so. For my blacks, I want to bring them down enough to where they're just touching that 0 but not being crushed. Then what I'll do is add some contrast to ensure that the colors are distributed pretty well. Then I'm going to drop down my highlights just a little bit. I'm also going to drop the shadows down as well. Then I want to bring my whites down just a little bit. Now what I want to do is bring some saturation back into my clip because when I shoot in that flat picture profile, my colors are already going to be desaturated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Vector Scope YUV to ensure that my colors aren't oversaturated or undersaturated. If I bring my saturation all the way down, notice that this small little circle is here in the middle, and that's going to tell me that my video is going to be in black and white. If I bring this all the way up, this is going to be a little bit too saturated for my liking. I want to bring this down. I just want to play with this saturation and find that happy medium. It's safe to say if this white blob here goes outside of this inside ring here, that your video is probably going to be way oversaturated. So I just want to play with this, kind of look at my colors, at the same time look at my video, just find that sweet spot to make sure that my skin tones look good, the colors in the video aren't oversaturated or undersaturated, and that looks pretty good to me. I also want to make sure that my white balance looks good, so I'm going to click on this little white balance selector here, select something in the video that is the color white, and that should make sure that the white balance is correct in your video. If it's not, you can go here and play with the temperature slider or the tint slider and dial in that perfect white balance. Once I've added that saturation, I'm just going to go back and make some small little adjustments. So what I want to do is I'll bring down my whites just a little bit, and I'm going to bring up my exposure just a hair, just so that I can see that my subject is properly exposed. I'll bring down the whites just a little bit more because we're starting to lose some of that detail in the sky. And I think that looks pretty good. Once you have your color correction the way that you want it to be, you can go up here in this top right corner where this checkbox is and just click on this button. And you can see this is what the video looked like before we added our color correction. This is what it looks like after we've corrected the footage. Once I feel like I'm done, what I like to do one last time is go back over here to my scopes and just make sure that my whites aren't over clipping and my blacks aren't being over crushed. And if I see that they're a little bit over crushed, I'll just make small adjustments. Understand that the better your color correction is, the better your color grade is going to look in the long run. A lot of people will just slap a color grading LUT on and just hope that the color grade will automatically color correct the footage, but it's actually not going to work out in your favor. So you want to go through, color correct the footage first, and then apply your color grade. Continue to perfect your skills by checking out this video. Edit like a pro by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss anything. I'll see you in the next video.